Yep, in today's video, I'm going to be giving you how to learn any army in Warhammer 40k quick and easy with my simple 3-step solution. Basically, I'm just going over how you can fully grasp the idea of learning a new army in a simpler time. Because if you think about it, learning a new army, whether that be your first army or a continuous army from your hobby, is a nightmare. Learning all the rules, how different rules play into other situations of the game, and the counters to those situations in the game, and then how your army rules play into that, and what all these units do, and how they play into stats, and organizing new ways of thinking. It can be really, really painful, especially if you're going into a new army from another army, and it's a completely different army orientation. So I'm giving you this guide to give you a full understanding of how you can take yourself from step A to step B in the fastest and most effective way possible. Now, you may have noticed that I have not been uploading as consistently as I have been for the past couple of weeks, and that's because obviously it's been the holidays. Happy New Year, and it has been very, very long orientation of being away and not being able to upload. So I'm finally back, and a bunch of videos are going to be coming out in the next couple of days. So and you see them, make sure to give them a like and basically just share them around so people get to see them. I am not quitting YouTube. I'm simply just taking a break from in the holidays and was unable to upload. So I'm back, ready to give you daily videos and give you a great, basically, experience here on YouTube and understand Warhammer 40k 10 times better than you already did. But yeah, let's just jump straight into it with how exactly you can learn any army in Warhammer 40,000. The very first step to learning any kind of army is going to be understanding that army. Now, when I say understanding, I don't mean simply glossing over the basic grasp of what they're going to do in the game. I mean understanding them head to toe. I mean understand everything they're going to do and every potential way they can play into the game to lead you to success. Now, the first way you're going to be able to do this is going to be read the codex or read the index, depending on what army you're playing currently right now in 10th edition. The reason I say this is because many people will go out, they'll go watch a video, they'll go look at somebody else play, and they'll simply base all their understanding off that one game. But that doesn't make sense, because if you think about it, the people who are giving you the information through a video have read the codex to understand that information, or have watched another video and somebody else reading the codex to understand it. So all you need to understand is that the core information about your army is going to be written in stone in the codexes or in the indexes of the edition you're playing. So you need to fully grasp this. This is your key to unlocking the understanding of what your army does. So you need to read the codex or read the index, like I've said, depending on what you're playing right now in 10th edition. Now, how do you do this? Well, the first step is going to be going through the army rule. The army rule is going to be one of the biggest and most important factors of understanding your army, as it's what's going to be giving you what I think personally 60% of the information of what it's going to do. You think about any army, you think about Tau, Orcs, Eldari, Death Guard, all of their army rules apply into what they do. The Death Guard with their -1 toughness aura, they're going to be a tanky army. It's going to be moving up. Turns out, well, they are. You're going to be the Orcs with their Warg. They're going to be wanting to push up and get in close combat to initiate their army ability. Oh, look, guess what they do? The Tau with their ability to reenact shooting and make their shooting even better. Oh, wow. What do they already do? They shoot. The army rule is going to be very big into creating what your army is going to be planning to do in the game when you initiate them. So, understanding the army rule is understanding a huge portion of your army. So, I want you to read your army rule not once but twice to understand exactly what it's trying to do. What exactly are you achieving by initiating this army rule? By having this rule in your army, what is it creating your army to do? Understand that, and you understand so much of your army already. The second one is going to be understanding your stratagems and enhancements. Now, you got to understand that the stratagems and enhancements are simply to make your units basic better at what their core foundation is going to be doing. The stratagem enhancements are going to be making them better at what they're mainly here to do. So whatever that may be, whether that be better shooting, better charging, better movement, better auras, better abilities to cancel out, what is it called? The invulnerable saves like the Thousand Sons have, whatever it may be, that is simply what they want to do. Your army is going to be initiating that. So understanding that is getting an even better grasp at what your army is purposely trying to do. If your army is telling you that, hey, like the Tau, we want to move and shoot, well, obviously you're big on shooting. Example, with the orcs hard as nails, or with the orcs is never beaten, or with the here we go. All of them are applying to the war. All of them are making better at either securing the charge, securing the movement, or making their melee better in the melee phase. So, understanding your stratagems and enhancements, or even getting a better grasp of what your army is going to do. So, once you've read the army rule, understand how the stratagems and enhancements can work into your army rule to create either a better combination or bring out the best in all of your units. Now, this is where it gets interesting because the final step is going to be understanding your goddamn units. This is where it comes in. People think you need to understand maybe one or two to get full grasp on it. I don't believe that. I believe you need to understand almost every single unit. Now, yes, if you're playing Space Marines or Chaos Space Marines and your codex is quite big, and there's some units that are more just like throwaway units, and you don't really have to understand them fully. But people with who are playing Votan, who are playing Tau, who are playing more or less like Death Guard, Thousand Suns, Eldari, smaller, more elite unit armies, you are very easy to be able to do this, and it only takes 20 minutes of your time. I would recommend reading through all of your indexes, reading through every single entry, and understand exactly what they're trying to do in the game. Are they trying to make a unit faster? Is this unit generally a good speedy unit? Is this a good throwaway point? Is this a big tanky unit? Is this a really elite unit? Understand exactly every single unit and what they need to do, and then put a note next to every single unit and what they do in the game. Like example, if you read for me, orcs, I read Mozrog Scragbad's index and I was like, wow, he's good. Or I read Beast Snagger Boys and I was like, wow, they're better than boys, but they're still a bit more expensive. Okay, interesting. Or I read Big Mech with Shock Attack and with Mech Guns. I was like, oh, that's an interesting combo. And I was reading through them, understanding what they have to play into. So put a note next to everything. Now, once you've done this, once you've got your notes, once you've read your strategy enhancements, and your army rule, I want you to put it all together. Understand exactly what. So, okay, my army rule does this. What units work into my army rule really well? Okay, this, and that. Example with my War. I'll say, okay, what works really well with my War? Okay, Molotov's Fragbad. Obviously, he's already an absolute maniac of damage, so he can work really well into the War. Or I went, this is interesting. Look, a large squad of boys is going to work really well into the War. Or, a large squad of knobs, or a trucks, or some death copters. I was starting to put everything together, understanding what it's going to work, and so I was able to build a more continuous and understand what units go in what and how they can work into your army rule. Then I understand, okay, what stratagems and enhancements are going to work really well into the units? Okay, this enhancement allows for dead wounds. Okay, interesting. Oh wow. Nullbond Smasher Squid gets the anti-vehicle 3-up and 4-up in the WAR. 3-up anti-monster and anti-vehicle 3-up in the WAR. Interesting. I'm going to include him. Have him on that. Or a Beast Boss and Beast Snagger boys, they get to have devastating wounds when they charge. Cunning but brutal allows you to fall back even when you did a charge. So it's starting to all come together a little bit, and you can really start to piece together interesting combinations for your army. But we're not building a list yet. We're simply understanding your army and getting okay, this works with this works with that. How can we make more connections to understand it fully? Now, once you've got this understanding, once you've gone, okay, these units work with this unit goes on that, stratagems here, and you kind of piece together a basic understanding of what your army does, then I want you to go and watch a video now. And like I said, I didn't really like watching video first, but what I want you to do before anything, like I said, was get a pure understanding of your army before you go do anything. So now you've got understanding, go watch a video. Go watch a video explaining basically just like a game. I don't want you watching someone explain it to you. I want you watching a game. But don't watch a basic game. Do not go watch a stupid game, 40k in 40 minutes, explain to you this cool army, this, and bang bang. I want you to watch a proper in-depth game. A proper game where they're playing simply for the win against each other with your army involved. And I want you to look how they play. How are they positioning their units? How are they employing stratagems? When you made an assumption with this stratagem or this enhancement goes on this unit, were you correct? And I want you to take some notes, okay, this unit goes in here. I was wrong about this. And get a better piecing together understanding of what you're doing. Basically, I want you to be taking notes the entire time. Be understanding what your unit is trying to do, and just get a piece together of how these really good players are implementing it, and understand, okay, I was right with this, or I was wrong with that, and understand it in a very simple manner. Basically, is just reinforcing the idea of what your army is doing, so you can get a really good understanding of what your army is implying by being in the game. But yeah, that's step number 1. Now let's move on to step number 2. number two in my three-step process is going to be refining your army. Now you've got a really good understanding, or well, semi-understanding, of what your army does and exactly how they play and orientate themselves in the game for success. You can now start to chip down at the bad units and get into what the true, like, really good, juicy stuff for your army is. And this is where building your list comes in. This is where you need to take the initiative. Now, I don't mean actually go and buy the models. I don't mean go and purchase the models, create a list, build this amazing, fantastic army, and go there. I mean simply have a theoretical list. If you were to theoretically put together an army today, at this very second, what would you do? With all your knowledge you have right now, okay, like, you understand, okay, my army is a tanky army, my army is a fast army, my army is a shooting army, or my army is a melee army, whatever it may be. Now you can start to put together a list. And when you put together a list, it's very much, it builds this better understanding. You've got your understanding, but now you go, okay, now I understand how everything works. Let's put it together. And once you put it together, you start to realize that, okay, maybe I was wrong, maybe I was right. And you can start to orientate yourself around how maybe you play into the army instead of just how everyone majorly plays into the army. So, when you're building your list, I want you to build simply as if it was the most competitive list possible. Now, I'm not saying put together a competitive list. I'm saying pretend as it was. Pretend that, okay, this list is my competitive list, and this list is what's going to be building me forward. And once you've done that, you really start to get an idea. It's like, okay, these units are good and these units are bad, which is what you really want. You want a very large, distinguishable like bridge between what is good and what is bad. So once you put together a list that's simply competitive, you go, okay, all these units are garbage except for this, this, and this. When I did this step, I was like, okay, what units are currently garbage right now? I was like, okay, well, the buggies aren't very good. Okay, they got some movement, but most of them cancel out by their shooting. Okay, what else is not good? Well, the tank busters are horrible because you can only equip certain rocket launchers. And I was like, okay, what else is horrible? Okay, looters have horrible shooting. And I was just looking over at my units. I was commandos are okay, and I was basically saying like, what is good? And I was like, okay, now what is good? Okay, Mozrog is good. Beast Snagger boys are good. I think the Death Copters are quite good. Okay, the boys are good. Weird Boy is pretty good. Okay, Beast Knob on Smash Squig is good, and Squig Boys are good. All those units I found were very, very good. So I put them all into a list, and I was able to understand what I basically was trying to orientate myself for. And once I built my super competitive list, I realized, okay, what do all these units have in common? Which is what I want you to do. What do all these units have in common that makes them so good? They all orientate perfectly into either a stratagem or an enhancement. You think about it. Mozrok Scragbag works perfectly as a distraction. Squig, the one Smash Squig works perfectly into dead wounds. Beast Snagger Boys work perfectly into cunning and brutal, and the War Boss and the Knobs work perfectly into moving up with the Here We Go, or having the Follow Me Lads, or anything that follows along with movement. The Trucks work perfectly into moving your units up to get the war off. So having a better understanding of what is good allows you to purely instinctually understand, okay, these units work into my army rule because X, Y, and Z. These units don't because of X, Y, and Z. For me, I was like, okay, these units work into my army rule because they cover ground fast and they orientate perfectly into melee. These units don't work very well because they may move, but the ability they have to do damage isn't very good. So when they do damage, a lot of it isn't oriented towards the war and instead their own personal damage. Like maybe like more shooting or more and go, okay, these units are good because they work in my army. But what is my playstyle? What do I find fun about this game? What do I find interesting? And then, once you've got that, I want you to now build a list that doesn't just orientate all these competitive units while still having some of them if they work in game, but maybe start adding in some units that are still good, but might work a bit better. Step three is gonna be get in there. Once you've built your purposeful slash kind of competitive list that you did a little bit of changing to and a little bit of orientate to, I need you to get in there. You now need to throw that army, no matter how good or how bad they are, into an actual game situation. And this basically takes all the theory away. It takes all the imagination, all the, okay, this should work into it, and it changes that should into, okay, it does. Because suddenly you go, okay, interesting. My army didn't perform the way I wanted it to. Okay, I'm going to change this. And basically, you get a better understanding of how to change your army once you do it. So basically, I don't want you to play a real game. Do not play a real game with the real models. I want you to do this instead. Because if you buy real models, we're planning to change it, basically. We're planning to orientate it and change a bit of stuff. Because you may have made a couple of mistakes when it comes to organizing your army. So I will need you to play this either on TTS or 3D print the models if you have access to that. Basically, play in a way you can play for free and just test out your army in a way that allows you to play a real game but still not spend a bunch of money. So, go on TTS, organize a game with a friend, or 3D print and organize a game with a friend, or borrow some models from your games club or from wherever you are and play with a friend or play with a person or just get in the game. And then, when you're playing the game, I don't want you to just play it, but I want you to really focus on the idea of basic, straightforward strategies. Remember, this game isn't for you to win. You're not supposed to win this game. I mean, obviously, if you win, there's a nice bonus, but this game is simply for you to learn. So I want you, instead of going, okay, being flexible, I want you to really focus on the idea of, okay, my army needs to shoot, I'm going to focus on shooting. Or, okay, I plan my army around running up the board and capturing OC and having good board control, I'm going to really focus on that. Focus on the core way you designed your army or the core way you plan to initiate a plan or saw a plan be activated and solely focus on them. You can still focus on being flexible, but remember, this is about being understanding your army better. So once you get these core strategies, you can understand, okay, does this big part of my army work? Yes or no? No, gotta change it. Yes, great, keep it. Doing this is just a big bonus, like I said, because it gives you this rough understanding of, okay, I want to have this stratagem. Like for me, example, I'll give you this. When I was working into my army and I was oriented towards getting more of a what's his name, the knob on Squigosaur, I believe it is. I think it's knob on Squigosaur, or Beast Boss on Squigosaur, sorry. And I wanted to include him in my army because I thought, okay, he's really good. He's a Mozrog clone. He's really good, and I wanted to basically go, okay, these two are moving up, along with Gazgol. Because I thought, okay, Gazgol was good, so I included these three combos of Mozrog, Gazgol, and Beast Boss on Squigosaur, and I wanted to include all of them and have this big tanky line moving up. But I realized that all of them are super expensive, and I was like, okay, that could be a thing. So I really focused on the idea of pushing them up and keeping them as a tank line. And turns out Gazgol didn't work very well because his whole point with lethal hits, Beast Boss and Squigosaur was just a weaker Mozrog, so he targeted him before, and then was able to target Mozrog a bit more, and it didn't really work, and ended up me wasting like almost like 400 points. So I was like, okay, they don't work, and now I was going to orientate that. It's just about understanding if the way you planned your army actually works in a real game situation. Now the next step and the final step to understanding your army is going to be fix them up. Once you've got this understanding, once you've been, okay, this works with that, you've played the game, you've got the results, you've understand how your army works, you can now change. For example, when I was changing, I was like, okay, I want 2 less tanky units that are going to cost less points. Okay, Death Killer War Strike is interesting. Oh, War Bikes are interesting because I can move fast. Oh, War Boss in Mega Armor with Mega Knobs, they work good, and I was doing some changing. This is where you go, okay, this unit worked into here, good. This unit was absolutely horrible. Okay, I'm going to change it now. And remember, this is why I said don't buy the models, because if you now you can change, you can simply just go, okay, I have too many trucks. Okay, I have too many speed units. Okay, I have too many tanky units. And you can orientate yourself to be like, okay, the strategy I planned for didn't work very well. So how can I orientate that to still work into my army rule, but work very well into my purpose as well? Once you'll do this, you'll get a very good understanding and have a better, pure, just really good grasp of how your army works. Because this final step, you'll finally be able to go, okay, my army works like this, and I play into it like this. This is successful because of this, and I can play into it because of this. You get this full, large understanding, and once you've done this step process, I bet you'll understand every single way your army plays. And the fun fact is this can be done in this can be done in a day. This process can be done in a day. It can be done in a couple hours if you have the right organization of time. So it doesn't take very long and you can fully orient it. But now I want to explain something to you that I don't think you would have expected from a video like this. Now, every single thing I told you in this guide was basically trying to tell you you need to follow organic learning over forced learning. Now, what I call organic learning is learning by yourself instead of being taught by someone else. This is why it's super important because I feel like if yes, okay, you can save hours of your day, days of your month, days of your week, and maybe even weeks of your month by simply going on and watching a video about how to play Grey Knights, how to play Eldari, how to play Drukhari, going on and just understanding or watching a video of someone explain it to you. But I believe that if you do that, sure you'll have a better understanding of it now, but organic learning and learning it by yourself, learning it from the books, learning it from pure experiences and understanding will give you such a more rounded understanding because after all, you built those strategies. You learnt them by yourself. Think about it. If someone explains to you that this water bottle works because you drink water. Okay, you understand, okay, it works because it holds water, that's cool. And you understand it, but you never fully question yourself. And you understand, like, okay, it drinks water, but why does it do that? And someone else has explained it to you, and it becomes a lot less it becomes a lot less questionable, and you more or less go off it as simply that is right and that is what it stays. If you go, okay, why does this water bottle hold water? Okay, it holds water because of this, and you understand it by yourself, suddenly you are much better at explaining yourself and why it works and how you can orientate yourself to become actually better at drinking water for that factor. So organic learning is super important when learning an army because it just gives you this super good understanding of your own self. You've learned it by yourself. You've learned it from the book. So you can suddenly now explain it better to someone because all the questions that you had along the way have been answered through your own organic learning. And this doesn't just have to be through army learning. This can be through list building, faction or army expansion. Anything can simply be through the books. That's how I've done it, and that's how I think you should do it. But yeah, that's gonna be my full army learning guide. I hope you really enjoyed this. It took me a while, and remember, I am posting more videos. I've just been in a current little bit of a hassle right now with the holiday, so I will be coming out with some more videos soon. But yeah, like I said, that's gonna be all me today, and hope to catch you in the next one.